Daniel Harper returned to Maplewood on a quiet evening when the sky was painted in soft orange and gray. The kind of sky that made memories feel heavier than they should. And as he stood near the old lakeside pier, he felt a strange calm mixed with regret, because whatever had pushed him away years ago no longer mattered now. Not the ambition, not the fear, not the excuses he once believed were important. All he felt was the steady pull of something unfinished, something he had carried through busy cities, late nights, and empty successes. And that pull led him back to the small town he once thought was too small for his dreams. A town where every street held a memory and every quiet sound reminded him of who he used to be, especially when his thoughts drifted to Emily Carter, the one person he never truly left behind. Even when he moved across states and built a life that looked impressive from the outside but felt hollow on the inside. And as the sun slipped lower, Daniel found himself walking toward the old cafe on Main Street without planning it. His feet. Remembering the way before his mind caught up, and inside the cafe, Emily was finishing her shift. Tired but steady, her life shaped by routine, responsibility, and quiet strength. Believing she had learned how to live without expecting more. Believing she had accepted that some chapters end without answers. Yet when the bell above the door rang and she looked up, her breath caught because there he was, older, calmer, but unmistakably the same man who once promised forever and then left without knowing how to keep it. And for a moment neither of them spoke as time folded in on itself, the years between them shrinking into silence filled with unspoken words. Daniel seeing in her eyes the life he missed, Emily seeing in his face the past she thought she had buried. And when they finally exchanged simple greetings, their voices sounded careful, almost fragile. As if one wrong word might break the balance, and they sat down at a familiar corner table. The air heavy with memory, the sound of distant rain beginning to fall, and Daniel spoke quickly, almost as if afraid he might lose the chance. Telling her he had come back because something inside him felt unfinished, because success had not given him peace, because every achievement reminded him of what he sacrificed. While Emily listened with a guarded heart, hearing honesty but remembering pain, her mind telling her to stay safe even as her heart leaned forward. And when she spoke, she chose her words carefully, explaining the life she built, the quiet days, the responsibilities she carried, the way she learned to stand on her own. Leaving out the loneliness that visited her when the bookstore closed and the nights grew too quiet. And Daniel saw that she had grown stronger, not colder, and that realization stirred something deeper in him, a want that felt different from desire, something rooted in respect and longing. And when he asked if they could talk again, just once more, Emily hesitated because she knew how easily old feelings could return, how dangerous hope could be, but she also knew some doors close only when they are faced, and though she did not give him a clear answer, the way she looked at him told Daniel enough to keep him there, standing in that space between past and future, realizing that whatever had once pulled them apart no longer held the same power, because seeing her again made one truth impossible to ignore. He did not come back for closure, came back because a part of him still wanted more, not in a careless way, but in a quiet, steady way that refused to fade. Even now, the days after their first meeting moved faster than either of them expected, as if time itself had been waiting for Daniel and Emily to face each other again. And though Emily told herself she would keep distance, life in Maplewood had a way of bringing familiar paths together. So they met again, first outside the bookstore where Emily worked. Then during a short walk by the lake, each meeting feeling unplanned but carrying a quiet purpose. And Daniel spoke with honesty he once avoided, sharing how the city had given him success, but not meaning how long hours and loud rooms still left him alone. While Emily listened without interruption, her heart torn between understanding and self-protection, because she remembered how deeply his leaving had shaped her, forcing her to grow up faster and trust less. And when she finally spoke, her words were calm but firm, explaining that she had built a life around stability, caring for her father, running the store. Finding comfort in routine because chaos had once cost her too much, and Daniel respected that. Yet every time she smiled or laughed softly, he felt the distance between them shrink, even when she tried to keep it in place, and as they sat on a bench near the water. Rain clouds drifting slowly above, Emily admitted she never hated him. Only the silence he left behind. And Daniel felt that truth hit harder than anger ever could, realizing that leaving without explanation had hurt her more than leaving itself. And in that moment he apologized without excuses. Not asking for forgiveness, only wanting her to know he finally understood, and though Emily accepted his words, she did not let her guard fall completely, reminding him that time changes people, and that wanting something again does not erase what happened before. And Daniel struggled with that truth as days passed, feeling both closer to her and farther away at the same time. Caught between the hope in his chest and the fear in her eyes. And when he asked her what she wanted now, Emily looked away toward the lake, saying she wanted peace, not confusion, because she had learned how to live without expecting more from anyone, especially him, and yet her presence told a different story, because she kept showing up, kept talking, kept listening. And Daniel realized that the past was no longer the main barrier. The real distance was the future. Neither of them knew how to promise. And as one evening ended with an awkward goodbye, Daniel watched her walk away, understanding that whatever they were, rebuilding would not come easily, and that wanting more meant risking everything again, even when there were no guarantees. As the weeks passed, Daniel and Emily found themselves slipping into a rhythm that felt both natural and dangerous. Meeting often enough to feel close, but never enough to feel secure, and their conversations grew deeper, moving beyond safe topics, into shared memories and quiet truths, with Daniel admitting how fear had shaped his choices more than ambition ever did. How he had run from commitment because he was afraid of failing someone he loved, while Emily confessed that his absence had taught her independence but also left a mark that never fully healed. And they walked through familiar streets where laughter returned more easily now, though it was often followed by thoughtful silence because both of them understood what was at risk. And one evening by the lake, Emily finally spoke the words she had been holding back, telling Daniel that reopening her heart felt like standing at the edge of something beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Because she had learned how to survive loss and did not know if she could survive it again. And Daniel listened without interrupting, realizing that love was not about convincing her but about understanding her fear. And as nights grew longer, he wrestled with his own doubts, questioning whether wanting more was selfish or brave, whether staying would mean sacrificing the life he built or finally choosing what mattered. And when he shared those thoughts with Emily, she surprised him by saying she never asked him to give up his dreams, only to stop running from the people who cared about him. And that honesty shifted something between them, creating a fragile trust that felt new, and yet the closer they grew, the clearer it became that affection alone could not solve everything, because real choices waited beyond words. And when Daniel mentioned that his time in Maplewood was limited, Emily felt the old fear return, her walls rising quietly as she reminded him that feelings without commitment lead to the same ending. And that night, as they stood under a sky full of stars, Emily looked at him with tears she refused to let fall, saying she did not know if she was strong enough to believe in him again. And Daniel, unable to promise a future he had not yet chosen, felt the weight of that truth settle heavily between them, knowing that love had brought them closer than ever, but also placed them at the most painful crossroads of all. The night before Daniel was set to leave, Maplewood arrived quietly, carrying a weight that neither he nor Emily could ignore. And Daniel returned alone to the lakeside pier, the same place where his thoughts always became clear, watching the still water reflect the lights and stars as he faced the truth that running had never brought him peace. And as he stood there, he accepted that wanting more did not mean demanding certainty. It meant choosing honesty, And when Emily appeared behind him, her presence felt both surprising and inevitable. Because she had spent the night thinking about fear, about safety, and about how carefully protecting her heart had also kept her from fully living. And she told Daniel that she did not come to beg him to stay or ask him to promise forever, but to speak openly. Something she once wished he had done before leaving years ago. And Daniel listened closely as she explained that love to her was not about grand plans, but about showing up and staying present, even when the future felt unclear. And he told her that his time away had taught him that success meant little without someone to share the quiet moments, that he no longer wanted a life built on distance, and as they stood together, the fear between them softened, replaced by mutual understanding. And though neither of them knew exactly what tomorrow would bring, Emily admitted that she was tired of choosing safety over truth, tired of pretending she did not want more from life, and Daniel confessed that for the first time. He was willing to risk disappointment rather than live with regret, and as dawn approached, they did not make promises or define their future, but they agreed to move forward without running, to let their connection grow at its own pace. And when the first light touched the lake, both of them felt a calm they had never known before. Because whatever had once separated them no longer mattered, and though uncertainty remained, they chose to face it together, understanding that wanting more was not a mistake, but a step toward a life finally lived with courage and honesty.